Hi, everyone. I am back with John Vuong. He's the owner and founder of Local SEO Search, a boutique agency from Toronto, Canada, one of my favorite places. He helps small and medium-sized businesses rank on Google and dominate their local market. So we're going to learn how to dominate your local market right now with John. John, I am so psyched that you're here, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about local search engine. I know it's a big daddy deal, but tell me a little bit about your background. How did you get into all this crazy world?
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for the intro. So I started this company, Local SEO Search, back in 2013. And I didn't know much about SEO, actually. I actually was in sales, in advertising sales for 10 years prior to that. Worked in online digital, traditional, and then I worked at a directory that some of you may know of called Yellow Pages. So I was there for over 5 years, worked with thousands of business owners, got to really understand the true meaning of what small, medium-sized businesses were all about. They valued customers. They understood and really took care of their community. And they understood how foundationally to build a business. And what they informed me was there was a transition going on. A lot of the traditional ways to market and advertise was going through a lot of change, disruption. And I either wanted to be a part of that or try something unique. So that's how I started this company, not knowing anything about SEO. I knew that I wanted to help serve that huge community of SMBs, and I had to learn how to do it and be one of those good guys out there to offer a solution for people that are in need, but they can trust, and doing things the right way. And that's how I started almost 10 years ago now.
That's pretty amazing, and yeah, the demise of the Yellow Pages, right, is pretty funny. But I know doing advertising sales for anything is really hard. I did that for a while myself, for about a decade. And, you've got to be really good at what you do in order to sell advertising and print ads. So I commend you for that. So how did you switch into it? How did you start when you decided, okay, I'm going to start trailblazing and doing my own thing? What was the sequence of that?
So I saw that so I was there for 5 years at Yellow Pages, and the last 2 years, every single meeting I would be going into, they were upset with me and the brand. They were frustrated because they were getting lower ROI, return on investment. They were spending more than ever. It was no longer the Yellow Pages that they once knew and trusted. And they informed me that they wanted to try this new avenue of digital. They hear a lot about Google, social media. They understand that there's another platform and different ways to market themselves, but they didn't know who to go to, who to trust, what it really meant, because all they knew were they were bricks and mortar business owners that understood their business, their clients. They didn't understand this new digital world that was being transformed. So I needed to get in and learn about that. My strength was always sales. So I went out there, got new clients to really build something that I can kind of take to the market. And I made so many mistakes at the beginning because I didn't know anything about SEO. So going into this new world, being a sales rep, learning about this new digital world, I was learning on the fly. I was reading, ingesting tons of content. I was joining as many communities, forums as possible. It's new terminology as well. It's like this new language altogether. So everything was brand new, and it took me a lot of time, investing a lot of hours every single day, like 16-hour days for 7 days a week for many years. I just had to put in the time because I knew eventually it would pay off.
So did I get this right, that you were actually paid by the Yellow Pages to start learning how to do SEO?
No, so I left 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So those 2 years gave me a good foundation of what I wanted to do, right? Which was build something that, I had a good idea, like there's paid ads, there's social media, but when I really looked at search engines, there was this organic way, natural way that people, and very similar to Yellow Pages, was seeking out but they didn't have to really pay for placement, right? So I had to figure out the algorithm and how Google really shifted things on a regular basis. And that's where it allowed me to build clients who paid for a service. So I understood the way Yellow Pages built their business, and then built something similar, but in this whole SEO space.
That's so super interesting. And back then, it was more of a wild frontier. I mean, I know my husband did SEO about 15, 18 years ago, and he was always white hat and he was always organic. And, he did a lot of reputation management, but things change so much and so frequently. Like, I bet your head is spinning all the time with something new on the block that you have to deal with, right?
Yeah, so you have to stay top of mind. You have to be on the pulse of the algorithm, and we're always testing a lot of things. We have so many different ongoing projects. We're always doing a lot of go-to-market strategies to see what works and doesn't. Sniff on competitors to see what worked for them, and maybe we can integrate for ourselves and some of our clients. So there's so many factors, so many moving parts. But foundationally, if you look at how those bricks and mortar SMBs survived for not just 5 or 10 years, but generations, took care of their customers, listened, really built good case study, testimonials, white papers, served them, understanding pricing, value. That's what is going to make you survive through ups and downs in any environment, in any community over the course of a long term.
I understand totally. And I think more and more we're very much all spinning around to customer service, put the customer first, do the right thing. I mean, it seems remedial, but at some point I think, it wasn't quite like that. But now we're all coming right back around to serving our client and looking out for their best interests, because if their best interest is served, then we continue doing business with them, right? So that's what it's all about. So if you had to do this over again, flash back almost 10 years, what would you have done? Would you have changed anything on the way that you went about it?
Like, actually, it pushed me to learn quick, because I think I wasn't comfortable. So I was ultra curious and I wanted to survive. I was a really interesting stage of my life where, I left a good cushy job, 6 figures, doing well, to then nothing, right? So it pushed me. I just got married. I bought a place. I had to really figure things out.
Ooh, yeah.
So life stages in people's lifetime, and then business stage. I wasn't content and comfortable working for someone else. I wanted to be someone that built something that can be more of an impact in society, right? To help people transition into this new world. So I was always a servant. So looking back, yeah, maybe I could have saved some time by hiring the right people earlier, but I didn't know what I didn't know at the beginning, right? So it's better to make mistakes on the fly.
Well, and I think too, whenever you're starting out and you're hiring the guru, so to speak, you don't even know how to qualify them, because
Exactly.
until you've made some mistakes or know what you shouldn't be doing, you really don't know what you should be doing. And I fell into that, where I would hire people who would help me, but it was their way. It wasn't my way, and it wasn't organic, and then it didn't feel right. And so it went like that, right? And then once you know what you know, and you know kind of who you are, I think it's easier to hire a coach or to hire someone to help you with what you want help with. Because typically, I think oftentimes people will just say, try to put you into their cookie cutter, right? And say, oh, good, this is the way that you should do it. And this is the system. And maybe it's not right. And, actually, that's what I love about my job is there's no cookie cutter way. It's all about the client and everything. I get the jam off of the creativity of creating new things for each client, because we're all individuals and we all need different things. And I'm sure, being customer service oriented, you're doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, and I think you just nailed it. Having full clarity on what you want to have ownership on, and understanding like context and perspectives of what's going on in the situation of individuals, let it be on your team, people you hire, or your clients, right? And letting them understand like where do they want to be currently and how do you transform them to their ideal, peak situation, right? And with time and a course of many years and learning and figuring things out, that's the only way to ultimately learn. You can't know everything on the onset, right? Like you don't know who your ideal avatar client is, your pricing standpoint, your values, right? Like it gets harvested and changed on a regular basis. So you have to be nimble. And being a small business owner myself, I'm always trying to cultivate good people, get good clients, and serve more of my type of avatar persona type client.
Yeah. Do you find that your avatar is you?
So I've learned over the years that there's so many different profiles out there, but the ones that want to be a part of our team, like our client base, is someone that acknowledges they do have a problem and they can't do it themselves. So they're seeking an expert that they can trust, that can form and nurture that long-term relationship. So understanding what you bring to the table, your value prop, and who you want to work with is so key to success.
Absolutely. So for those who want to, I know there's a lot of people that are actually the Great Resignation. Everybody's launching and starting new things. As they're starting a business, or maybe they've been seasoned for a few years. What's a big piece of advice that you would give them as far as increasing their SEO ranking or making Google notice them more often and more frequently? Do you have, I know that's a kind of a hard question, but as a generic suggestion, what would you say that they would do first on their own?
So SEO is becoming much more complex, and it's also getting more difficult because of competition, and there's so much out there in the world that you don't even know where to navigate and get content that's rich. I always say stay true to yourself. Figure out who you want to be. Create a website that stands for your values, and then figure out how to present it in the world by creating good information, content, resources, links, or whatever it may be on different platforms, and continuously do it, right? So there's no secret. I would say it's time more than anything, and it's consistency, and it's adding value to the people that you want to attract. And it takes a lot of effort, energy, and hard work, right? And you got to be consistent and persistent, right? So in terms of like tricks, just keep doing and moving forward, and don't be afraid of trying to put out the best content. At least you're doing something. Progress is important.
Yeah. I had this mantra a long time ago when I was writing my first book: perfection is overrated and simply not worth it. It's better to have things out there than things half-baked and not putting on the, not going for it, right? Like just put it out there, because I think, the average Google loves words, but I quite honestly, I don't think that your readers are not going to read every single word that you write anyhow. So I know that writing articles and posting blogs and that type of thing is huge. What about now? Are other older websites pointing to your website still very important, or is that shifted?
Yes, backlinks are still very critical, which means, like you mentioned, other websites linking to your website with either anchor tags, a branded keyword, but also the authority of that existing website linking back to you is very important. The niche, the industry, the keywords that you're going after, the age, the authority of that site, the trustworthiness. So trying to harvest a lot of these links, and it's not the quantity so much the quality. So always focus on creating quality content, pushing to those that are actively seeking your services out of quality, right? Versus quantity. Everyone's looking for a number. I would say focus more so on the type of websites that's linking back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good tip. So you've been doing this for almost a decade. Tell me about a time where you just felt like stuck. I know, year 3, 4, 5, it generally hits us. And we're like, what is going on? Tell me about a time when you felt stuck and what did you do to get over that hurdle and to move forward with more ease and more confidence?
So feeling stuck is when you try to do everything yourself.
Mm,
So running a business, especially an SEO agency, there's so many moving parts. There's so many different specialists that are required, and you can't do everything yourself. You have limited time and capacity and bandwidth. And so
mhm.
when I started hiring people, I had to hire managers to manage those different pillars of subsets that runs a good SEO campaign. So right now I have teams. I have a content team, I have a link building team, I have a social team, I have a development team, I have SEO specialist team, I have graphics team. All these people have to be working together. But then I also have a manager that manages all of them. And it allowed
Yay.
me, yeah, allowed me to move away from that whole process of watching the team, right?
Right.
And then I can focus on working on doing stuff like this and marketing the business, looking at ways to captivate more speaking engagements and more PR related activities to generate and harvest, more brand awareness.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's a good case in point of working on your business as opposed to in your business. And we all need teams. And this has just been a recurring theme over and over during my podcast is, grab a team, get a team built. Even if you think you can't afford someone, there's always someone who's willing to learn. And there's always a way that you can get a helper, at least one to start out with, and then build the teams just like you did. Yeah, that's great advice. So is there one thing that sticks in your mind of the best advice that you've ever received from anyone about running a business, or even actually about living life?
Oh, running a business. So I was fortunate to work with thousands of SMBs, right? Working at Yellow Pages. I always short form for YP. And in there, I got to really understand and meet people of all ages, ethnicities in every industry. And what I saw that was the root of it was the passion of people that actually were successful in my eyes was someone that actually looked forward to going to work every single day, serving and building something of value for their people, their clients, their community, their family. They had a purpose. And that's what really resonated with me when I started my own company. Those are the people I wanted to be like when I grew up, right? Because some of them were 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, right? And still woke up every morning doing something they loved. So that's what it is all about, right? Wake up every morning being excited, doing something that you can say, I'm bringing value to the people that really mean the most to me.
Yeah, that's so very important, being on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Doing your purpose and knowing what your purpose is. And, for those of you who are listening that you are looking at your job, your real job, and you're not feeling like you're on purpose and you're not feeling inspired, then this is the wake up call. This is the time to reinvent. In fact, I'm talking about this in my Insiders Club on this week is it's the time to reinvent. It's the time to change. And there's no better time than now, especially when economies are a little bit funky. This is a great time to launch. I mean, Microsoft launched in the softest time period of all, and they're cruising. Same thing with Mac, or Apple. So this is the time to launch. And if you're feeling like you're not on purpose, listen to what John says here and find your purpose. Find something that's going to make you excited to get up. Because if you're excited to get up and go to work every day, the money's going to follow. Don't you think so? Don't you think that's true?
And this is one thing I also learned from all these business owners is they were never chasing,
Yeah.
a car, a home, a bigger, property or bigger business. They were just taking care of their people. their community, they're adding value, right?
Yeah.
Price was never something like they were very going after, like, more stuff. And it was all about just that purpose of what mattered to them at that stage of their life. So maybe it is spending more time with their family by building a business that allowed them to support that, or running a business to create charities and giving more philanthropy to others, right? Supporting their children at that stage of their life. Whatever it is, a lot of seasonal businesses. I run a business for 6 months. I spend 6 months in Spain in my villa, right? It's whatever it is. So figure that out. And I got so many of these business owners that I can just knock on the door and ask them these things like, 20 years ago, what did you do and how did you grow your business? Like, all that is reach out as well. Find out people that you really respect and don't be afraid to ask, because they're so willing to help people that are going through those same challenges. And business owners are so nice. Like, they're the people that actually are human and real. So if you reach out to them and have questions, they're more than willing to help support you in any cause.
Well, just like you, John, I mean, I think that the more successful that you are, the more open you are, and the more intimidating it might be for someone to reach out. Oh, we can't talk to him. He does all this. But, the more successful that a person is, I think the more open they are to providing advice and providing guidance, because you know what, we've all been there. We've all been in the trenches. We've all been in the downstone. We've all been freaked out and overwhelmed, but we all bounce back. And how do we do it? And in fact, that's what this podcast is all about. So I really appreciate you telling your story and showing people that, what it takes to be good in a business is to love your people and to really feel that you're really helping the masses. And the better you are, the more people you can serve. And that's the idea here. The more you grow, right? The more you can help.
Constantly have fun, right? Like, there's always going to be challenges. You're going to be thrown with problem situations. Like, there's things that are outside your control, like the pandemic, there's wars, there's supply chain issues, there's mass resignations. Stuff will happen. And then there's family problems, like older parents, children. There's going to be things that grab you. And then you got to figure out what's important to you at that stage of time. And you got to time management, all of it, and figure out what really, stay true to yourself. I always say your gut is so important on what you need to continually do to get better and improve your situation, right? And others that really mean the most to you.
Yeah, and have fun and get over it. I'm cracking up what you're saying, because for those of you who don't know, we started this 5 to 10 minutes late because my internet didn't work. So my first podcast was canceled today. Here I am with John saying, John, stand by. ATT's trying to fix my stuff. And, this is just what happens. This is part of doing business. And I love what you said. The first thing is like, breathe. Thank you for reminding that.
Yeah, and let go, right? Like, what's the worst what can happen, right? Like, we're here in North America doing something that we love. There's people in the world that, would love to just have one day of their lives like what we have. So be grateful for what we have, right? And have different perspective of what's going on in the world.
We are blessed. So I know you have something that you want to offer the kiddos here who are listening. What is your valuable free resource, and they're going to be able to download it right below the podcast, but talk to me about what it is and how it's going to help them.
Yeah, so it's a checklist, right? So for us, we do offer SEO, but it's so critical to understand where the gaps are, what is required to really optimize your site and really figure out, like, how do you compare to your competitors? What needs to be done? So on our website, on our homepage, actually, there's a free download that says download a checklist to figure out what you need to do to get started, to optimized so that you can start outranking some of your major competitors. So then you can take that steps of trying to do it yourself, or hire consultants, or try to work with a company. But at least it gives you a head start.
Yeah. gives you an understanding of what you should even do or where you're what's falling through the cracks. I'm definitely going to do it. You know, I'm on my second website and who knows what's going on with it. My first website was really optimized. It's really old, and this new website, who knows? So I'm going to do that checklist too, to see what's falling through the cracks on my world, because there's always something that has to be done. So thank you for that. And we'll have your website below. We'll also have the free download. They can go directly to that download and download it from the podcast page. And is there anything that I should have asked you, John, that we haven't discussed, or anything that's on your mind that you really wanted to say?
Yeah, as a business owner, I know it's going to be hard, right? There's always going to be things that are going to be stressful. You're going to have doubts. You're going to wonder, like, is it better to just have a job, right? Business ownership is not for everyone, but timing is so critical as well. You need to figure out and put in the time to make sure that it is successful. So you got to plan ahead. You got to try different things and work at it. Just like if you have children or you have family or relationships, you got to put in that time to harvest it, right? You got to plant those seeds. So business ownership is exactly the same way. There's no one size that fits all. There's no making $1 million in a month or ads, a clickbait, like diet pills and all that. You got to put in that time. And that's why I learned about not just running a business, but also SEO. It's like owning a home. You got to plant those seeds, down payment, pay the mortgage, all that stuff, doing a rental project, harvesting children. So with business ownership, just have fun throughout that process. Don't give up.
Harvesting children. I have to crack up about that.
But you know what I mean? It's all about like just putting in that time, because you don't even know if you're doing the right thing by nurturing and teaching them and coaching them. It's like, as a parent, I have no idea if I'm doing the right or wrong thing, but I'm enjoying that process.
Yeah, just have fun along the way and do the best that you can, and make sure that you put them first. That's all.
Exactly.
That's just funny. Hey, well, this has been a blast. You're so sweet and so dear and so trustworthy, right? So that's what it's all about. And I just appreciate your time, and I'm so happy to introduce the viewers to you. And hey, gang, if you cannot afford to hire someone as a staffer, try to hire someone that can help you with SEO like John, because it'll definitely help you catapult your business and create more income. And that's what it's all about, is launching that business and getting going. And I'm going to look into it as well, because there's always something to be done on a website that goes on and on and on. And Google loves to change their stuff. So thank you, John, so much for being on the show. I really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, Kathi. I really had a great time today.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want to hear more, feel free to subscribe on the platform of your choice. Also, if you feel so inclined, I would truly appreciate a good rating from you to me. Have a stellar day.